Hey, everybody. We're back. It's a two for Tuesday. A two for Tuesday. Let's see who's in here. I was chatting for a little bit. I got sidetracked. And so I didn't get to say hi to everybody before the show that was in. And of course, we have people coming in now. Hello, Ashley Archer. Nana says, and we're back. We are. Angel P's here. Hello, Vicky. Kat's here. Miriam's here. Replay crew. I saw her. Hello, Kay Amari. Saffron. Saffron's in alive. What's going on, Saffron? Usually you catch the replay. My goodness, we are blessed today. Hello, Sunset Gazing. CR made it in. Hello. Hello, Kelly. Oh man, I just took a drink of my Diet Dr. Pepper and it almost went down the wrong pipe. God, that hurts. That and chips. You ever get a chip that goes down the wrong pipe? My God. Hello, Mama B. Techni girl, where you been, girl? I haven't seen you in a while. Mary Glick made it in. JPL's in the house. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon. Yesterday, the news came out that we were anticipating. It just hit different when it came out. That the remains, partial remains that were found at the landfill, the waste management landfill in Savannah, Georgia, are little Quintons. And I started to go live yesterday just to talk with all of you guys about it. I couldn't do it. I put something in Discord and the Facebook group, and I just said it just hits different. It just hit different. Nobody was surprised. I can't imagine what those searchers went through. Grueling. I mean, they're specialists at this. It's not what people were saying. Like, well, I'll go search the landfill. I think we know now for certain when we talk about missing persons cases, it's always said, well, have they checked the landfill? Well, we know now checking a landfill is not a couple hour sweep, if you know what I mean. It's a process. It involves a lot of work, organization, money, government agencies. You can't just go and do whatever you want to do. And it's horrific, it's sick, and it's sad. I wonder what those searchers went through. For one, weeks, grueling weeks, and they know what they're looking for. They're looking for a little boy. They're looking for a 20-month-old baby. And then for them to hear yesterday that is indeed what they came across. I also wonder what the reaction was when they went and tapped on the bars at the jail and told Leilani that they found her son. I'm really wondering about that. I know, like in other cases where they go to the jail and they tell the one accused, you get different reactions. Casey Anthony acted like it was the end of the world. Megan Boswell was just beside herself. Some aren't surprised. I'm really curious as to what Leilani's reaction was when they told her that it's definitely Quinton. You never know. You never know. His obituary came out yesterday. I'm not going to say what I think of it. I'm going to read it, see what you all think, and we'll talk about it like we always do. Court TV had something out last night where they're basically comparing Leilani to Casey Anthony. And Casey Anthony's name comes up o often, very often. But this case does have way more similarities than I would say the others. I would say her and Megan Boswell for sure. They both have the Casey Anthony vibes. All of the lies, the dysfunction with the mom, almost have kind of a tug of war jealousy thing going on with the children. It's disgusting. It's sad. I'm going to go through a couple of comments from the last show and then we'll go through what came out yesterday. Okay, this comment just popped up yesterday. And I apologize. I thought I was all caught up, but I wasn't. Now, I'm not going to say the creator's name because it doesn't matter. And we're not here to talk about other creators anyway. This is mainly about, well, this is definitely just about Billy. Lakehar said, did anyone hear Billy say that they found baby Q intact? I did not because I wouldn't be listening. It's not because I just don't have time. There's just no way I can keep up with everybody. In my downtime, I'm watching, videos that tell you how to put together toilet paper rolls that look like toy soldiers or warning you why it's dangerous to hold your pee. That's the kind of stuff I watch, or things I just don't have to think about at all. So I wouldn't have seen this anyway. This is a new low for Billy. This is a new low. If she said that, I'm more speechless than I have been, and I thought this case made me speechless in many, many, many times. That is a new low. Not only did they not find him intact, they only found partial remains. They only found partial remains. They compact, they compress what they put in the back of that truck. And what they put in the backs of those trucks is called garbage. Garbage. Things you throw away. Things you don't want anymore. I think it's safe to say that every one of us would have wanted Quinton. So this is a new low. This is definitely a new low. I'm going to look at a couple things that went out yesterday. The FBI Laboratory Division has confirmed through DNA analysis the bones. I think this answers the comment. The bones found in the Superior Landfill are those of missing 20-month-old Quinton Simon. Chatham County authorities have charged Simon's mother, Leilani Simon, with murder and other related offenses. On Monday, November 28th, so yesterday, authorities officially ceased operations at the landfill and began removing command post facilities from L. Scott Stell Park. So though they found partial remains, I guess since it's confirmed for sure that it's Quinton, that the search stops. They're not going to find the rest of him. That's how I'm reading this. The FBI is thankful for the partnership with Chief Jeff Hadley and the entire Chatham County Police Department. A monumental team effort was put forth by everyone involved in bringing closure to this horrific situation. The 5-week search to find Quinton would not have been successful without the dedicated service of several groups. FBI, Chatham County PD would like to offer their sincere thanks to the following. The management and workers at Waste Management Superior Landfill. This situation was thrust upon them, and the waste management team was extremely cooperative and offered their equipment, time, and expertise throughout the search. And that's something that never even crossed my mind. At the landfill, there's people that work there. They have multiple trucks that go in and out of there every day. Imagine being the man or woman that was driving that truck to the landfill on October 5th, none the wiser, dumped that truck into that landfill to find out yesterday that it was indeed little baby Quinton in the back of that truck. Could you imagine having to be that driver knowing that? Of course, no fault of their own. No fault of their own. That would give me nightmares. The forensic anthropologists from Georgia Southern University who were on site every day verifying any potential human finds. Here we have even more people involved. They had forensic anthropologists on site every day to verify anything that they came across. That tells you that his bones didn't look like bones. Yet people say they weren't doing enough. The experts from Team Adam and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children who provided invaluable technical insights. Agents, officers, and deputies from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Chatham County Sheriff's Office, and the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, who all devoted their time to participate in the landfill search. Quinton Simon's case and the legal proceedings against his mother are now in the hands of the Chatham County District Attorney's Office. Any further questions should be directed to DA Shalina Cook Jones. Well, that pretty much sums it up for now. There's Leilani's charges: concealing death of another, false statements or writings to conceal facts, false report of a crime, and murder. And it's not just murder, it's malice murder because she had intent. She had intent. I know that Billy has been posting some stuff. I think there was something on TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. I've just never gotten into it. And she's talking about how she's lost so much. She's lost so much. Well, she damn sure has. She certainly has. It goes without saying she has. And she is, for real, I'm sure, having a really, really difficult time. Well, when everything settles down, and I mean everything, there's not daily lives, there's not people checking on her, that's when the hard time is really gonna start. That's when the hard time is really gonna start. Reality is gonna come down like a ton of bricks. The attention is done and it's over for her. From here on out, if you read that bottom paragraph, any further questions should be directed to the district attorney. It is now in the hands of the justice system. Lady Justice has got it now. It doesn't matter what you make up. It doesn't matter what you record and release to the Daily Mail. It doesn't matter. And I mean everybody involved. It doesn't matter what panel you go on, what you put on Facebook, what TikTok you make. It doesn't matter. It is all in the hands of the authorities. The district attorney has got it now. So any attention-seeking behavior should fall on deaf ears because there's nothing that she could possibly contribute to this case. Nothing. Now, some people say that she might wind up testifying. To what? I don't know. I don't know that the DA needs Billy's ass for anything. Billy was not even in the state, as we know. Billy was at work. Billy was at work in Illinois. Billy also, there was I would say, a lapse in judgment about who should be watching the children 24/7. That was not entirely set up. Hence why we're here, because her daughter, who was deemed unfit by the state of Georgia, wound up with the children and malice murder happened. I don't know that the DA needs her for anything. She didn't witness anything. And as we know, she just made a mess. She just made a mess of everything. Everything. Some people say, well, she could testify for the defense, to give the jury more of an insight into why Leilani is the way she is. Well, I don't see Billy sticking her ass out there to say, well, all her shortcomings could have come from me. Maybe I'm part of the problem. No, she's out of this. She's done. She's over. She's had enough attention. She's got a belly full of pizza and a new ring. She's done. She's done. Now, as far as any sort of investigation or anything on her, I don't think we'll ever hear. I'd be very surprised. Thank you, Rexy. Speaking of surprises, thank you, Rexy, for support. We in the true crime community, we hear often CPS is a failure. It's a failed system. Some people will go as far as to say that the social workers don't really care about kids. They're just doing their 8 and skate, whatever. I really don't believe that's to be the case. I think it's a red tape, bureaucracy, messed up system because they are policing messed up people. When you're dealing with people that can't even take care of their own children and they are that selfish, it's doomed for failure. Done. But we can't say it's just a terrible, terrible, terrible system, but then not want anything to be at least looked at as far as Billy goes. Let's take a poll. Do you think there should be an investigation as to how it came about little Quinton Simon came to be in the care of his unfit mother? Their words, not mine. Their words. I think all of this talk about doing this and doing that to get the grandkids back, no, they're gone. They're in the state's care. Can't unring a bell. You can't undo what happened. You can't undo what happened. You were trusted once, you failed. I know there was a complaint she had one time about how CPS that never come by and check on them. So you're saying that you need them to check on you? You had permanent guardianship. This isn't a Facebook comment. This isn't a quote from Twitter or anything. This is from their paperwork. The maternal grandmother has a permanent guardianship order as to the child Zane. This was put out obviously after Quinton went missing. Pursuant to documents from the juvenile court of Burke County, the maternal grandmother failed to provide adequate supervision for the child Zane by leaving the child Zane in the home in the care of mother, a person the maternal grandmother knew or should have known was unfit. So, considering what could have happened to Zane, what happened to Quinton, I do not think that they're going to say, well, but you were on TikTok and you looked like a sorry sack of shit on there and we felt bad for you. I mean, you were a hurting unit on TikTok, so we think you learned your lesson. I think the fact that she did what she wanted to do against what she knew she wasn't supposed to do. It says right here, knew or should have known Leilani was unfit. You made that choice against what they had told you. And look what has happened. Little Quinton's partial remains were found in the landfill. That's awful. It doesn't get any worse than that. It doesn't get any worse than that. I'm going to take a huge liberty here by saying I think Billy's unfit. I think Billy's unfit. Billy lost her children. She regained her children back, and the cycle continued. Quinton broke the cycle. October 5th, whatever went on between Billy and her raising Leilani and Leilani's siblings, cycle was broken. Whatever was going on between Leilani and Billy leading up to October 5th, everything from laundry to eviction to child support to Billy becoming the permanent guardian, October 5th, the cycle was broken. There's no point. There is no point. No point in opening it up for anything to happen again. She's a grandparent. Their fathers need to get their asses in gear and take the appropriate steps they need to take to be fathers to their children. Danny, whatever Danny needs to do, he needs to do it to be a father to little Sky. Cody, time to clean up that room. I saw a picture of that room on the Sun magazine. Time to clean up that room. Do what you need to do to be a son to little Zane. I really hope that little Zane and little Sky, years from now, because the internet lasts forever, when they read about what happened to their brother, it's not extra insult when they realize that it shouldn't have happened because their grandmother left them in the care of an unfit mother. And on top of that, their daddies didn't come to try to get them to give them a life with their father. So I really hope Cody and Danny step up and do the right thing. I know it won't happen tomorrow. I know it won't happen next week. Baby steps. Baby steps. And in the meantime, I think an investigation needs to be opened up as to who made the decision, which I think we can take a good guess. Little Quinton came into the care of an unfit mother. Jesus Loves Me says, are the fathers worth anything for them to get the kids or not? I know nothing about them. I know nothing about them. Nothing. I do want to know how Danny and Paul were in the house and did not know that she was murdering Quinton. I mean, obviously, Quinton's 20 months old. I don't know because it hasn't come out exactly what she did. And where Summer said they don't have any rights to the children if they're not married to Leilani. You need to understand that in the state of Georgia, fathers have no rights unless they're married only. Well, there's got to be something they can do if they have DNA tests, paternity tests showing they're their dad. There's got to be something they can do. You go to the judge, whatever it is, to say, I'm their father. I want my children. Because I don't see how Billy has any rights. I don't see how Billy has any rights. The father should have more rights than the foster system. The dad is the dad. That is a really messed up system. If you skip over their daddy to their grandma, we got a big problem. Huge. Huge. All right, so I'm going to put the clip up from WSAV. Then we're going to look at the obituary and see if when I'm reading it, what sticks out to you. Hang on.
New developments in the Quinton Simon investigation. The FBI confirming to News 3 that the bones found in a Chatham County landfill are the remains of 20-month-old Quinton Simon. The child was reported missing October 5th, but investigators later determined that he was dead and his body was dumped in a landfill. Now, Quinton's mother, 22-year-old Leilani Simon, was named as the only suspect shortly after the investigation started. She was arrested last Monday on multiple charges, including his murder. Police say there are no other suspects in this case. We will keep you updated on any other details at wsav.com/Quinton Simon.
All right, there's no other suspects in his murder. I know that is a confusing thing for a lot of people. They're like, well, the chief said there's not going to be, there's no other arrests or anything like that. Well, that's with his murder. That's with his murder. As far as Danny and Cody, if they're fit fathers or whatever, I don't know anything about these guys. I don't know if they just didn't come around or if they were somehow alienated from these children. I really have no idea. Today's a good day to do the right thing, though. Today's a good day to turn it around in the name of little Quinton. I mean, look at what has happened to little Quinton. My God. This is just horrific. Every time I would see a picture of those searchers out there, I saw some of the tools they were using. It would make me so damn mad. So mad. Absolutely senseless. I did have a comment the other day and someone said it's like she just took out every frustration she had against her mother because they fought like cats and dogs. They fought like cats and dogs. Hey, Jesse. And that's what a lot of people are saying. They're like, it's just like she took out every frustration she had with her mom and took it out on little Quinton. Why Quinton? I don't know. I don't know. So let me put the obituary up. It's there's little Quinton. Quinton or Ruta, and then it says Ruth in parentheses. This is the first time I've ever heard Ruth. Has anybody ever heard Ruth before? That part of his name is Ruth? That's a first for me. Okay, so this is being overseen by Thomas C. Strickland and Sons Funeral Home. And I'm sure, I'm just going to take a guess, that they have offered their services for free. And remember, the Georgia State Victims Compensation Fund will take care of burial, cremation, however they see fit. Quinton Aruda Ruth Simon, 21 months old, of Savannah, Georgia, went to heaven on Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. Now, on October 5th, 2022, he was 20 months old. Is this a typo or what? I don't know. Quinton was born in Hinesville, Georgia. Okay, the Daily Mail said when Bubba did his interview with them, he reported to the Daily Mail, and the Daily Mail can screw up a crowbar, so nothing would shock me, that he was born in Alabama, that she went to Alabama to have him. Do y'all remember that? Anyway, this says Quinton was born in Hinesville, Georgia. He loved TV remotes, phones, and tablets. He loved to watch PJ Masks, Paw Patrol, and Dragon Tales. He enjoyed chasing his brother and copying everything that his brother did. One of these days, his brother is going to read this. And he's going to be in a lot of pain. This is not going to be over for the survivors for any time soon. He was a bright, happy, fun, smart, loving little monkey. He would say thank you no matter what it was, even if he was the one doing something for someone else. In the mornings, if the music was on, he would dance, smiling, spinning in a circle, and clapping. Is this what Leilani had her brother read one time? I don't remember. It was on a YouTube channel, and I saw a clip of it. This sounds like something I've heard before. In the mornings, if the music was on, he would dance, smiling, spinning in a circle, and clapping. Quinton always gave everyone love and hugged their legs. Every time he did something he was proud of, he would come to whoever was close by and ask for boom, which was a little fist bump. Survivors include his mother, Leilani Marie Simon. That is the first name on there. Now I'm just asking you guys, I'm asking your opinion. Obviously, Leilani gave birth to him. Mother is not a word I would have put in this paragraph. Personally, me, I would not have mentioned her. There's a different way to do this where you don't even have to mention her. There's not a person in this world that's going to read this that's going to look for the mother's name, especially knowing what she did to him. And we don't even know how bad it is. I'm telling you, when that probable cause comes out, and it'll only be a part of what happened, it's going to be horrific. It's not going to be pretty. Survivors include his mother, Leilani Marie Simon, father, Henry Moss Jr., a brother and a sister. They don't even name the brother and the sister. Grandparents, Billy and Tommy Howell. Great-grandparents, Vernon and Ruth Sykes. Then it says Michael and Evelyn Simon. Well, Michael Simon is Leilani's dad. Wouldn't it say grandparents, Billy and Tommy Howell, Michael and Evelyn Simon? Why does it not mention Bubba's parents? Where are Bubba's parents? His mom just died. His dad just died a hit and run. Why does it not mention Bubba's parents? Okay, great-grandparents, Vernon and Ruth Sykes, Michael and Evelyn Simon, uncles, Michael Simon, Matthew Simon, Logan Simon, Paul Simon, Joe Swain, and Quinton Betterton. Quinton Betterton, I believe, is he not the one in jail for murder? You didn't need to put him in there. You should have at least mentioned Bubba's parents. Does Bubba have siblings? You might want to put them in there. What the hell? Arrangements are pending at this time. Bubba could not have proofread this, by the way. Bubba just needs to write his own obituary and be done with it. So here we are to the end. This is his little obituary, and she's still making it about her, who she wants to leave in and leave out. And a lot of times it'll say preceded in death by, especially if it's recent. It's a respect thing to do. It's a respect thing to do. But if you're only going to mention the people that are still living on the planet physically, then okay, I get it. Crazy. Always about her. Always. To mention Leilani is a final slap in the face. To me, this is just wrong. This is just wrong. Little Evelyn Boswell's obituary mentioned everybody except her mother. Oh, good catch, Kat. Kat said, doesn't say he was loved by any of them. Hell, you see obituaries, and hell, the person might only had 2 friends. It'll talk about how much they're going to be missed, loved by all. This is just, to me, disrespectful. Jody says, I feel sick. Blackwing says, as with everything they speak, it's only about them, sounding as if they're a good, close family. Yeah. But to even mention Leilani, catty corner from little Quinton's picture is disgusting. And this is put out by the funeral home. It's on the funeral home's website. The funeral home has nothing to do with it. They have nothing to do with it. But I guarantee somebody raised an eyebrow like, do you really want to mention her? Do you really want to mention her? I don't think I would. I don't think I would. Jessie said she wants to get famous over Quinton's death. Well, we are now at 14 minutes and 59 seconds, my friends. She has had enough attention over little Quinton Simon. She was out of state, so she could not have been a witness to anything going on. And she made the very, and I'm being real loose with my wording here. She made the careless decision to let him be with Leilani. Very, very careless. I don't think for a minute that Billy ever thought that Leilani would do this. I don't think that ever crossed her mind, but it happened. And according to the state of Georgia, when they gave her permanent guardianship, the maternal grandmother has a permanent guardianship order. She lost this October 12th in regards to Zane, because she had Zane and Quinton. The maternal grandmother failed to provide adequate supervision for the child Zane by leaving the child Zane in the home, in the care of his mother, a person the maternal grandmother knew or should have known was unfit to provide proper care, while the maternal grandmother traveled out of state. They don't even put in here that she traveled out of state for work. They're not even doing her that service by saying she had to work. It's awful. Hang on. Marisay, Australia said, I wonder if Bubba gets his remains. Why should they have anything to do with his funeral? I think Bubba should get his remains too, because he's the next of kin. They just confirmed yesterday that the partial remains are that of little Quinton. You know, they're packing up. They're going back to Quantico, Virginia. I don't know what they're going to do. And that's one thing. Bubba does not speak out. He did talk to the Daily Fail, but he's not talking to YouTubers or anything like that. So we may never know. And if we hear it from Billy, it's probably not true. It's probably not true. If we hear it from Billy, it's probably not true. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. All right, hang on. I'm going to put this interview up because it's actually really interesting, where they're talking about the similarities between this case of little Quinton Simon and the Casey Anthony case. Because a lot of people, with just some things that have gone on with this case, are really worried about how the outcome's going to be. I have a lot of faith in this law enforcement. And when Chief Hadley said, No, we're not ready to make an arrest because I do not want to come back in 6 months because we went to an evidence hearing to find out that something got thrown out and now suddenly we can't move forward. He seemed to always have a plan in place. He said over and over that he really trusts his investigators, and good call. Good call, because now Leilani's in jail. Leilani is in jail. Malice murder.
That this really has made me think of, and other people at Court TV and viewers, is Casey Anthony. And let's just remind viewers, the Casey Anthony case, 2008. So years ago, beautiful little girl reported missing. The mother says, I don't know what happened, not involved. The grandmother, again, outspoken grandparent, calls about a month later and says, listen, this child's been missing. We don't know where she is. The mother says she doesn't know where she is. Mother finally admitted she was involved. Law enforcement, we have a missing child. Mother was approximately a month later eventually charged with a crime. We know she went to trial. She was not convicted, but some of these initial facts I think are reminiscent of that. So let me start with you, Wendy Patrick, and ask, do you see any similarities to that case? Does it make you think of the Casey Anthony? And we know the verdict in the Casey Anthony case was not guilty at the end of the day.
I think there are some significant distinctions from the Casey Anthony case. And I think part of what led to that acquittal, at least by virtue of the jurors that were willing to talk and really what we know about the cases we followed it through, is Casey Anthony was a very different individual personally than this apparent suspect from what we know thus far. And especially after we've just heard from Janae, as in terms of some of the family dynamics that were involved, as well as maybe some personal issues. But I'll tell you what's similar, Ashley, is this is the kind of thing that we see frequently. I wish I could say Casey Anthony is the only case that I thought of when I heard about this arrest. But there are often cases where parents, I don't want to say are covering for children, but find it hard to believe that their own flesh and blood are capable of committing some of these heinous crimes. So they don't look where they think they should look, or they give everyone the reasonable, they kind of exercise their own version of reasonable doubt, if you will. Or as the mother in this case, a part of me wanted to believe, even though it sure seemed like she did it, that she didn't. So that's why we often see grandparents stepping in, taking custody of kids to protect them from their own sons and daughters.
Yeah, it is their son and daughter, but let's listen together, because there's some different parts of the Casey Anthony that I want to listen to, and then Nima and Julia, have you both weigh in. I want to listen first to some of the opening statement by the state saying that the mother had a story, but she lied at the beginning about what happened to her child.
In a pattern that is repeated throughout this case, when Casey Anthony's lie can no longer stand, when she can't get out of the corner that she has painted herself into, when her back is up against the wall, and when the stakes increase, what does Casey Anthony do? What she did. Casey Anthony comes up with a new, a bigger, and a better lie. It is at this point, with her back against the wall, that Casey Anthony first says these words: Kaylee was kidnapped by the babysitter. The babysitter that nobody has ever seen, that nobody ever saw, that her parents didn't know, that her brother had never heard of.
All right, that's the first thing, Nima, that the mother in that case said, the Casey Anthony case. And then in this case, we have 47 days later, mother arrested. So is it human nature, in your experience, Nima, if someone does commit a crime, especially an egregious crime like this against their own child, that they tend to just lie immediately just to protect themselves?
Of course. people that are guilty, they lie. And Casey Anthony was actually convicted of those lies. Of course, just 4 misdemeanors, reduced to 2 on appeal. But I mean, that's very similar to what we're seeing here, Leilani's lies. I mean, and that's not where the similarities end. There's that delayed report. We have Casey Anthony reportedly partying, and Leilani, there's reportedly videos of her throwing back shots with her mom, all of this time when her child is missing and presumed dead. So a lot of similarities, and I think the defenses are going to be the same as well. We already see them coming out in the Simon case. Obviously, Casey Anthony said that Kaylee drowned, and her father, who sexually abused her, was involved in the cover-up. And we're seeing that accidental drowning defense here and finger pointing. So I agree with you, Ashley, and the folks at Court TV. A lot of similarities between the two cases, and I think the defenses are going to be similar as well.
Yeah, and that's what, 14 years ago, if I did my math right, that the Casey Anthony case happened. All right, Julia, let's listen together. There was one other piece of Casey Anthony I wanted to listen to, and that is the 911 call made by the grandmother when she finally reached out to law enforcement to say, I think we have a problem. Let's listen.
911, what's your emergency? I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. Her mother finally admitted that she's been missing. I need to find her. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car. Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name? Kaylee, Caylee, Anthony.
All right, Julia, final thoughts on listening to that and also all of the information you've gathered and about the Quinton case at this time.
There are certainly similarities. One I want to point out is the public response to the disappearance of Quinton Simon, how the demonstrators got involved and even set up shop in front of the house. We saw that throughout the investigation when it came to Casey Anthony. Also, those lies that Nima mentioned, where she initially said, Leilani Simon did, that it was her the father of her child, the biological father, Henry Bubba Moss, who police found 80 plus miles away, and he was cleared. He had an alibi for that time period. So similar to how Casey Anthony directed police to a babysitter and directed people around her to the babysitter. Certainly some similarities, but also I think they may look more into Leilani Simon's life. I know from her Facebook page, she was posting about loving being a mom and wanting to spend time with her kids and looking for a house that was kid friendly and wanted moms who could be friends with her. So there may be some differences that she'll be able to use, especially since she's the one who made the 911 call reporting her child missing versus someone else having to report little Kaylee Anthony missing.
And again, just a reminder to our viewers that Casey Anthony was found not guilty of the felonies. There were those misdemeanor charges that Nima mentioned. But in any event, thank you so much to Julia Janae for joining us on all the updates out of Savannah, Georgia on the Quinton case, Simon case.
Absolutely sickening. Absolutely sickening. Angela said it's Court TV and Peacock owned by the same network. No, I think Peacock is owned by NBC. I don't know about Court TV. I don't think they are. I think they're just their own thing. I think they're like with HLN is what I think. Jeff said the house looks like Amityville. Yeah, that house, and honestly, the house in the Idaho 4, every time I see that house now, I get freaked out. Connie said Billy needs to go to jail. I don't even know what a jail term would be. It's not like she hasn't milled it over in her own head, because she was texting one of her friends and she said, I want them both in jail. She was talking about Danny and Leilani. Of course, she's not just going to hang Leilani up. And I think part of that is because then she has to admit her own guilt. And she said, even if it means I have to go to jail. And the friend texted back, you're not going to jail. But if you do, it'll just be for a little bit. So, I mean, even her friend knew there's a possibility she could get in trouble for this. She could get in trouble for this. I mean, the paperwork flat out says she had permanent guardianship up until October 12th when Zane and Sky went to, well, Sky was never in her care. Zane and Quinton were. So Zane would be the child in question with this document. So October 12th, both children, Zane and Sky, go into foster care. Zane is who they're talking about in relation to Billy, saying Zane was under her guardianship, permanent guardianship, him and little Quinton. Quinton is the focus of a missing child investigation. They said Billy knew or should have known that Leilani was unfit. That's really all we need. It is gross negligence. And I'm not going to be on this show screaming that CPS is an epic fail and then say, but in this case, leave it alone. But in this case, just let sleeping dogs lie. There's no reason to look into anything further on this case. No, there needs to be an investigation done. There needs to be an investigation done. And however it comes out, it comes out. We'll just have to live with it. Replay Clue. I said Clue. Crew, you're amazing. Thank you. Lisa Lee says a fancy second send-off won't make up for the first send-off to the dump. Nope. You're exactly right. Exactly right. And I know what Court TV is trying to say, because they're saying that as all of this, and when this came out, this clip, they did not know that his remains had been found or confirmed. And they were basically talking about the narrative that had come out, which was accidental drowning, could be the swimming pool. Then we heard Danny looked away when he was getting Zane out of the bathtub, and little Quinton must have drowned while Leilani was cooking dinner. The story was told to Curtis when he was there that the ADT security system alerted them that 2 doors that go out to the patio to the pool were left open between, I think, 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Well, that doesn't explain how Danny saw little Quinton in his pack and play at 6 a.m. that morning. That doesn't explain that. Danny's version of events, I'm beyond curious to hear. Whatever it is, it obviously holds water because, no pun intended, because old girl's in the slammer and he's in North Carolina at his mama's house. So in correlation with that clip, I'm going to play an old clip, and also the link is pinned, so don't be shy. Grab it, come up and talk with me. An old clip, and this is one of Leilani's first lies. We know there was many others. She would have had no problem, her or her mom, in my opinion, pinning every bit of this on Bubba. She would have no problem sitting in the backyard with her mom, taking shots of Patron or whatever it is they do, with Bubba sitting in jail knowing he didn't do a damn thing wrong. She knew Bubba hadn't been around. She knew she hadn't talked to Bubba. She was still trying to pin it on him. He could be the biggest sack of shit on this planet, but he had nothing to do with Quinton's disappearance. And she was willing to let him get hung up for it.
For the first time today, Chatham County Police Chief said there is a possible criminal element to this case. But still, 5 days in, Quinton is missing.
We have a signal 56.
You're hearing Chatham County Police dispatchers on Wednesday morning when Quinton Simon went missing from his Buckhalter Road home in Savannah.
Complaint about her 1-year-old son is missing. She woke up, her door was open, but he's unable to open the door since someone came in and took him.
Fast forward 5 days to Monday.
So that's what she said. The door was open. He can't open the door himself, so someone must have come in and took him. That's what was said to the 911 call. Now that we don't hear Leilani on the call, but that's what was reported to 911. Police show up and she says Bubba's got him. Then, of course, we know that there was an accusation made against the babysitter. We hear about swimming pools, bathtubs. Who knows what other lies were told? Let's see what Angel has to say. Hello, Angel.
Hey there, Brooks. How's everybody doing today?
Pretty good. Just this was a real punch in the gut yesterday. We saw it coming. We knew when they arrested Leilani, we knew because they had found Quinton and they had a preliminary hit that it was Quinton. Still, it was different seeing it.
Yes, ma'am. It just makes it all final. You know, kind of like when you go through the grief process and you sit there and watch somebody die, and then you go and see them be put in the ground. It's kind of a different level of sinking in there. And excuse my voice, I've had bronchitis. I probably sound like a toad or a bullfrog.
No, you sound beautiful. You sound like Demi Moore.
Oh, yeah, right.
You sound like Demi Moore. You do. How are you feeling? Because I knew you were sick over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm still getting over it and hanging in there and jumping on here when I can. Doing good. Got some family stuff going on. Really, really appreciate everybody saying a prayer.
We got you. We got you.
I'm going to try not to break down. Okay. This case really gets me.
We're here, babe.
I know this case really gets me. And I personally, number one, I mean, you know, I've been a hospice nurse and you see a lot of things that you really don't want to know about unless you want to know about them when people die, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And just thinking about those workers out in the landfill, about how they were putting themselves at risk and looking, and the emotional toll on them, not to mention everything else. I mean, I am so happy for them that they found him. You know, that tore them all to pieces, and that must have felt really good to find him. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, not at all. But it puts an end to the insanity, and he gets his final little resting place.
Now, as far as the obituary that was just read or whatever, that was disgusting. Mm-hmm. I've already talked about the fake. Well, it probably didn't. You know, the fake FBI Quinton in a casket photo, which I don't want to get us off on another direction with that, but that was just horrifically disrespectful.
Mm-hmm. And this saying that he was found intact, that's I shouldn't even say a new low. What's the lowest we've heard? What's the lowest we've heard?
Can it get any worse?
I mean, I hate to open up old wounds, but what is the lowest we've heard? Because this case is all new lows. We're talking about a 20-month-old baby.
Yeah. You know, I'm really happy that sounds awful. I'm glad that we're going to get Quinton the justice he deserves. I'm glad that he's going to be at peace. I'm also glad that right now that baby's not scared, and he's not hungry, and he's not crying, and he's not getting hit, and he's getting loved, and he's getting held in the arms of God.
Yes.
And he will never have to know what he knew before in his short little life.
No. And you're right about the searchers. I put this clip up right here. Searchers found the remains at the landfill, and this is partial remains. On Friday, police said, now, yesterday it was confirmed it was him, so I don't need to read that part. The working conditions were grueling and hazardous. Searchers knew that the chances of finding Quinton were low. Historically, the FBI says landfill searches are only successful 5% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they still, knowing there's only a 5% chance in a landfill, put that effort, those men and women, that type of money, because these things are very expensive to find little Quinton.
Yeah, and that's not a job you can just walk away from and go, well, I'm glad that's over. Let's move on to the next one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's a horrible job. Me, myself, I really feel like that to get a full wrap on justice for Quinton, I don't mean to sound ungrateful because I am, but I really believe in my heart and soul that Billy Joe needs to be held accountable for her poor judgment and her poor decision, doing exactly what them papers said do not do.
Mhm.
It was legally, morally, it was ethically, it was wrong in all ways. There's no excuses. I don't feel sorry for her. She's a grown ass woman and she's made these decisions her whole life. And that's why she's where she's at right now.
Yes, ma'am. And when she says, I've lost so much, and I mean, what she doesn't realize is she's about to lose even more, because as people move on, because now we're into the phase of the case where it's just going to be updates.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the next hearing, then the next hearing, then the next hearing. And there's not really anything juicy about that, if you know what I mean. And there's nothing for her to contribute. There's no extra icing to put on that cake. That bottom paragraph tells us all. Quinton Simon's case and the legal proceedings against his mother are now in the hands of the Chatham County District Attorney's Office. They're not in her hands. There's no more lies. There's no more Chinese buffets. There's no more egg rolls. There's nothing like that. She made
Yeah.
a fatal decision. Her carelessness was fatal.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And you know, I've not got this same situation, but I've got a situation where I have, you know, my grandkids Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every week. And I guess that's why it upsets me so much, because, like, you know, like that, there was a video where Billy Joe was on there going, "Oh God, I've lost this and I've lost that, and I had it hard growing up," and you know what I'm saying? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. That just made me sick too, because guess what? That's what mothers do. Mothers sacrifice themselves for their kids. Mothers put their kids first. Mothers do the right thing every time, even if their kids don't like it. You know,
And we come short a lot of times. There's
absolutely.
no perfect mama, there's no perfect daddy. And we know that when we have to leave the house to go make money, and nobody is saying anything about her working. This is the only case in a long time where we've had to even bring up someone's work schedule. It was actually nice to hear that somebody had to go out and work. But
Isn't that the truth?
we know that we don't just throw a bag of Cheetos in the house and say, don't kill each other. I'll be back. I got to go work. It doesn't work
That's
that
right.
way. You have to
Absolutely
make
not.
sure that they are taken care of.
And I really think that, you know, this case has been very high profile, I hope, enough for people to pay attention, and all the pressure that's going on, and considering the past, the present. There should not be in any world, never. She should never, ever, ever have custody of those kids back. I don't care what she's doing.
Oh,
I don't care. I don't care if she's building a Mickey D's play center in the backyard. She ain't gonna get them. She don't need them back.
I'm sure at some point she's going to be allowed to visit her grandchildren, but I don't think that she will ever be trusted in a position to raise them ever again, because when she had a shot, permanent guardianship of Zane and Quinton, she
Mm-hmm.
left. Now, mind you, Danny and Paul were in the house too, but Danny and Paul were not the problem. It was Leilani that was not. You can't tell Danny and Paul, hey, make sure Leilani doesn't kill the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
She knew, it said, if she knew or should have known that Leilani was unfit.
Absolutely. I don't think it'll happen, because I know a lot of people are afraid of that and worried about that. And I know the system has failed so many people, but I just don't. I don't see that happening. I think that department there in that state or whatever, they would look even worse than they already do, in my opinion, don't they all? But you know, I just think that would really bring a lot more heat that they wouldn't want.
Oh, they don't want that. And we can't say that CPS had any sort of shortcomings or failures, because they gave permanent guardianship to Billy. Billy went against the instructions, or these Leilani's unfit. Leilani's unfit. I believe that if they do an investigation, these things aren't made public because they have to do with minors. The fact that they have to do an investigation, they wouldn't ever consider her to take the children again. And I have a feeling Danny and his mother are going to want to raise Sky. And Zane has family too. Who
Thank
was
God.
the grandfather that drove 4 or 5 hours to the family court hearing to be there in person? Wasn't that Zane's grandfather?
I thought it was.
Yeah, so their games of keeping people on the back burner didn't that's not going to work anymore. This alienation in these cases is too much. Cuz
Yeah, you're right about that. That's a big deal in this case and many others.
okay,
Oh
Natasha
yeah.
said it was. Natasha said yeah. So that was Zane's granddaddy.
Yeah.
So you have other papas and grandmas, and God willing, hopefully the daddies step up and make it where there's no Billy involved again. She had her shot. I'm not saying she's responsible for Quinton's murder at all, and I don't think it ever occurred to her by giving Leilani access to her own children that she would murder one of them. I don't think that ever crossed her mind. She'd be a psychopath if she did think something like that.
Right.
But that it's the end result, and she knew or should have known she was unfit.
If not for her decision, then blank. That's how I'm looking at it. I don't know.
No, you're exactly right. We didn't even know these people existed. We wouldn't know that they are even roaming this planet. We wouldn't know anything about this family had she not made that decision.
So at least the other children will have a chance now.
Yeah, little Quinton definitely he definitely broke the cycle. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that this case is just broke so many people's hearts, and it's close to home for me. It's just anything that has to do with grandkids, I tell you, because I mean that's what I live for is my grandkids. There's nothing I wouldn't do for them, and you know, I mean they're just your treasure is where your heart is, just like the good book says, and that's where my heart is, and it's so hard to understand sometimes, even though you have the mental intellect to hear what is being reported. It's so hard to wrap your head around how someone could be in that position and not only think and feel that way, but go ahead and act on it. You know, it's just something you can't understand.
Oh, you're exactly right.
No,
I don't get it either. I don't understand it at all. At all. Especially when, I mean, I do kind of worry with the publicity of this case. There has been some pressure on lawmakers to stop with kinship placement because we have so many cases like this one where people do whatever they want to do within the family. So instead of grandma saying, no, you cannot take no, the answer is no. You're unfit. You lost them for a reason. The unfit parent comes back into the fold and bad things happen. And in this case, the unthinkable happened. And I don't have a dog in this hunt. I don't pay taxes in Savannah, Georgia. I don't work, go to church, have kids that go to school there, nothing like that. If I did, though, and I never, and never will suggest anybody do anything. I'm saying if it was me and I lived in Savannah, Georgia, I'd be calling my local council member, whoever represents me, and say, what can we do to make sure that this is looked into? Because I'll be damned that woman gets custody of her grandson and granddaughter, and that this is not fully investigated as to how that murderer, and she is, came to be around little Quinton.
Yeah.
If I was paying taxes there, I would damn sure be making some phone calls.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely. You know, one of the best things you can do too, in my experience, I've written a lot of letters to senators and phone calls and representatives, and have actually known a representative or two that lives close by. And I mean, been in their house and talked to them like they're just normal people. These guys were anyway. That can be very, very effective. I mean, sometimes they just have to pick up a phone and make a call to somebody, and it starts the process, you know?
Well, I mean, if enough people that are their constituents that go to the polls and vote for them, they're definitely going to say, yeah, we got to look into this. I don't think I mean, I don't think that the chief wants it not to be investigated. He obviously doesn't work for Child Protective Services,
Right.
and it's no crime, as far as I know, leaving. Well, I guess if she was found unfit, never mind, just erase that. He might want that investigation put on his desk sooner than later, because I think that he has taken this very personal.
Yeah, I do too. He's obviously a family man, and it's affected him very deeply. Yeah,
Well, let's look at what he said about just being human and how it hit him.
let's do.
Frankly, I mean, there's a lot of aspects to that. I mean, knowing the hard work that went into this investigation, everybody, not just Chatham County Police Department, but everybody that chipped in, the FBI, GBI, DNR, Chatham County Sheriff's Office, the civilians, you name it, from A to Z, we were 100% committed to bringing justice for Quinton. And to appreciate the amount of human effort, the amount of human emotion that goes into a case like this, and to appreciate, hopefully, that this comes to a conclusion in terms of a conviction and things of that nature. You know, you have a lot of emotions about that. You also have a lot of emotions as just a general human being, as a person who has children. You see the impact that has on people. So if you step back and take a moment to kind of absorb that, I think that if you didn't have any feelings about that, you might have to ask yourself a few questions.
Exactly. He's a human being too. He's a father. It broke my heart when they took the picture of little baby Quinton and they put it up in their workstation where they were really concentrated on investigating Quinton. And
Yeah.
he showed it in a press conference, and he said, we keep this little picture of little baby Quinton up
Mm-hmm.
as a reminder. This is who we're working for.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very effective. And I think he got a lot of crap he shouldn't have got. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Without going into it.
I really wish when they went to that house to arrest Leilani, Chief Hadley had gotten to do it himself.
Yeah.
I don't know who got to, but I would have loved to. But like in the Delphi case, I always say I wish Doug Carter got to make the arrest himself. I don't know who got to do the honors.
Mm-hmm. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall and seen that.
Well, and also in, Billy's deflection and everything, I mean, she went as far as to blame God.
Oh, yeah. Why did God give me 2 murderers?
Yep, I'm going to play that real quick. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw some people in chat hadn't heard it.
Mm.
And you gotta keep praying. How does God keep the 2 murderers out? How does God do that to me? How? And you gotta keep praying. How does God keep the 2 murderers out? How does God do that to me? How?
God didn't raise them.
Mm-mm. Keywords, to me.
To me.
To me. It's all about me. Mm.
Awful. Awful.
It really is. It really is.
And in all this mess and dysfunction, little Quinton was found in the landfill, partial. I cannot believe that she said that she said he was found intact. Now, that's probably what she wants to believe, and that's what I would want to believe. But that's not what happened. No. No. They had archaeologists out there just to identify if what they found was a bone.
Yeah.
That's how, I mean, it's compacted. compacted.
Oh yeah, and that's a hard thing. Mm-mm. Well, I can hang out or I can jump back down, girl. Whatever you want me to do.
Well, that's really all I've got for today. I just wanted to go through the obituary with everybody. The statement where they said that they have confirmed that the partial remains are little baby Quinton's.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I
That's a
will say
lot.
this case is going to stick with me forever.
Yeah, me too.
It's awful.
Mm-hmm. It
And
absolutely is.
and I know that Billy as a mother has her own shortcomings, but we don't blame God for that.
Mm-mm. No.
And when the state of Georgia tells you that your daughter is unfit, then you keep the kids away from your daughter until she goes through a rehab, goes to a job. Try Monday through Friday. Those are popular days for people. Get herself on track, and then slowly but surely, she can be trusted with her children. Didn't do that.
Mm-mm.
And here we sit.
Yep. Just threw the baby in the pool that's a terrible thing to say, but you know what I mean. Just don't even baby step it. Just do it.
Exactly. All right, my friend. Thanks for popping up here. Give me a call or text me after this.
Okay, hon. Thanks a lot. Hope y'all have a good day.
I'm glad
Bye-bye.
you're feeling better.
Okay, thanks, girl. Bye-bye, y'all.
All right, guys. Well, that's all I've got. It's a horrific case. It's really sad. We're going to continue following it. As the announcement said yesterday, it is in the hands of the Chatham County District Attorney. So when there is any movement in the case, it's going to be slow. It might take 2, 3, 4 years. You don't know. But we will definitely get together like we always do and have a live about it. You guys are the absolute best. I did hear a little rumor today, not about this case, but about the Delphi case, that the probable cause has been unsealed. Mama B sent me a message right before this show. If that is the truth, I will be jumping in so we can go through the probable cause from the Delphi murders together. Set your reminder. I'm going to need some oxygen and something stiff to get through that. I can tell you that. So we'll go through that together. If it is truly a rumor and it is not available for public consumption, if you know what I mean, then I'll be back here tomorrow morning doing another show about the Idaho 4. You guys are the best chat, the best community on YouTube. Thank you so much for sticking with me, all of us sticking together through this craziness for this case. I know it was really heated there for a while, and there were a lot of very, very unfair things that were being said about the searchers, about the law enforcement, but we're not like that. We had faith, and now we can just watch this slowly unfold. Justice for little baby Quinton. I'll see you guys over in Discord or in Facebook, but please do set your reminder because we might be popping in later to go through this probable cause for Delphi. You guys have a great afternoon.